It's time for the Everyman, where real man talk.
Let's go. Time to grind, get inside your mind. Yeah, we working overtime. That's the only way to climb. We gon' make it in our prime. Signing on the dotted line, cashing checks left and right. That's the way I'm living life.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Everyman Podcast. Now, tonight we have, I would love to have said we have a very special guest, but if we're all really honest, this has been the biggest shit show of any comeback. It's literally like what I'd imagine, do you know, for years when, I'm going to sound really bad here, but when like the Spice Girls were like, we're coming back, we're coming back. Obviously, Dean's sporty Spice because he's got his football top on. It has felt like that for weeks. I've literally been like, yes, we need to come back. We've got so much we need to be talking about. Yeah, there was so much focus about it. And today has been a fucking shit show. Is there any other way of putting it, Dean?
Nah, mate, you're spot on. From the minute you woke up, really, hasn't it?
Not the moment for me, but the moment that, yeah, no, you're actually right, actually. When I was sat on that train and I got the first message, I was like, for fuck's sake. Joe, what's your thoughts on the last hour of us? I mean, you've been on since 6, right?
Yep, you're correct. To be fair, you've got me now, though, so isn't that kind of like a positive to the negative?
I think that probably is a positive to the negative. I will give you some form of beacon of light to what tonight has been. So, as everyone who follows the page and has seen recent posts will have seen, we have 2 new hosts. So we have Sean and we have Yaz. So when I talk about this morning saying my day started off a bit shit, so I got a message from Sean this morning. Obviously, I'm saying some of this in jest because he's not very well. He was up all night. Dean is not having any of it, but he was up all night. He messaged me this morning saying he wasn't very well and he therefore couldn't make the podcast. But he has committed that next week will hopefully be his story where he opens up about his experience with health. And I have to be honest, as someone who has played a big part in my journey over the last year or so, Sean's story is really powerful. And I'm sure it's one that lots of people will resonate with, relate to, and find really interesting. So, yeah, Sean, I will say I hope you're feeling much better. Dean will say something else.
I'm just saying that voice note that he sent to you sounds completely different to the voice note I got 45 minutes later. That's why I wanted you to send it before, because I was a bit curious. Because you said he sounds really ill. Yeah, like the telephone voice when you're ringing work.
Ring their school and they're like,
I'm not feeling very well. Yeah, one of them.
Yeah.
And then later on to me, he's like, oh, on Sunday, do you fancy coming out for an Indians with me and Lou?
Oh, God.
I think it doesn't sound very ill to me. Like,
so I will take it everything as at face value and not overthink it.
I won't. I want a sick note.
I think we should be requesting sick notes. So speaking of sick notes, the other this girl, I swear to God, Yaz is one of my really good friends, right? We work together. We've worked on various projects together. We rip each other all the time. She's literally like just one of the boys more than anything. And anyone who knows Yaz knows that she is notorious for being late. I'm gonna be honest, like the worst person in the world for being late. And but today she's not late. At 5 to 7 pre-podcast, her camper van. Long story short, we'll get into Yaz's story when she comes on, but a camper van wouldn't start, where she then has to use to pick her partner up. So Yaz is unable to attend the podcast tonight. It is a shame. You will all really love Yaz and the insight she will bring to some of the conversations that we're going to have. But yes, we will have Yaz joining the podcast next week when we are both in London together for work. So yeah, that is just a a little bit of an intro why it is only myself, Dean, and Christian Job, who is our producer. Boys, it's been a few months. All been super busy, actually. There's been loads going on in all of our lives. What's been going on? So, anyone want to go first? Dean's going to go.
Dean looks riveted, doesn't he?
Yeah, Dean looks
No,
super excited.
I don't mind going if you're not ready.
No, I was just excited to hear.
You go first, Dean. How's your last 3 months been while we've had a little bit of a break?
It's good. I can't remember what the last episode that I would have been on would have been, probably April sometime.
Yeah, 5 months.
And I was talking about that I was getting voluntary redundancy from
Yeah.
BT at the time. That was due on the 31st of May. So from the 31st of May until now, I've just been pretty chill. Decided that I was gonna enjoy my summer. And probably for the first 6 weeks, I regretted that because the weather that we had was pitiful. It was so bad. And then it sort of started to pick up. So I had committed to trying to get fit for the football season. We done a little bit of working out, didn't we? But both picked up injuries at pretty much the start, which always happens.
Because we're super old.
Yeah, super old, and we tried too much too soon all the time.
That's our ADHD brain, isn't it?
Yeah, we're trying to go all out. And then whatever progress I did make, got myself in a little bit good shape. I threw all away with 1 week on holiday. So I'm at a point now where I'm back. Now I'm sort of seriously on the job hunt, just trying to find something new.
Your next career path.
What about that,
Yeah.
Dean? I get £750 if I recommend someone to BTEE, and they are looking at the moment. So
I've
don't know
got
if you-
12 months, mate.
Nine.
After 12 months, you can do 9 now. Yeah.
Is it 9 now? Oh well, I'll.
Well, no, it's because I've already been off 3 months, haven't I? Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, cool.
So
I'll keep you on my list.
it's been fun. I'm not really happy to go back to work, but my missus has gone absolutely wild. So
Asking
I
you to
need to
sell a
go
pool
back.
table and that.
No, well, it's not that bad yet. Like Jesus, I'll be on
Yeah,
the
Joe,
ropes then.
what's your past 3 months been like? We will get into your story in a minute, Dean. Don't worry.
To be honest, it doesn't even feel like it's been that long. Like it's flown over.
What have you been up to?
Just enjoying life with the little one, to be honest. We've just had the garden done. That's took up a lot of my time, a lot of my effort.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much actually goes into stuff like that. Not only money, but like stress and thought process and all that kind of stuff, especially when it comes to like Beth wanting to get it really nice. She was like, I want white porcelain. I was like, well, white's going to get dirty all the time. She was like, I want white porcelain. I was like, right, okay, no worries.
Yeah.
To be fair, it looks sick. I can't
And Beth
lie.
is
It does look sick.
absolutely the boss in your relationship as well, isn't she?
There's no ifs or buts about that. Like, I don't really get much of a choice on much, to be fair. But it does look, it's worth it in the end. She has done a really mint job with picking like how it looks and stuff like that. And the Ben's absolutely loving being able to actually get out, because before it was like, I'm gonna say a jungle, but it was such like, it actually had like little mini trees in it.
Yeah.
Not ones you plant purposely. I'm talking like actual weeds that had just grown up to that size. So that's been class. And then other than that, just working to get by. I feel like at the moment I'm in a rut of, do you know when you feel like you're on your feet and then something comes along? I mean, my car's just broke recently, so we literally don't have a car at the moment. And
No worse, is it?
Mate, it was such a weird one. I was driving back from Hall Hill Farm in Durham after just taking the Ben to see my brother and stuff at the farm. And I didn't hear anything. There was no like bangs, no nothing. Drove fine, got home, parked it up. I went back the next day and we were going to go to the Hilton in Harrogate for like a weekend away. So I thought, oh, I'll fill the water up and all the rest of it up, just make sure everything's fine, like the tire pressure and that. And as I opened the bonnet, I shit you not, it was like an oil bukkake. I've never seen that like
What?
it.
Was the oil cap on?
The oil cap was on, but there was just
Oil everywhere. Wow.
I am not even exaggerating when I say this. the whole bonnet from the top was dripping of oil. There was oil all like in pools all over the fucking like engine, all over the battery. Everything was black, and I was just like, "What in the has happened here?" So I rang my mate who was going on the weekend away, and I was
Gasket.
like, "Well, I think that's what we're thinking. It's either like a
Yeah.
leaked pipe or a gasket's gone." But so I rang my mate, and I was like, "Mate, I cannot drive us in an hour's time down to Harrogate, so can you just fucking drive?" And we all got in these tiny little Seat Ibiza, and it was a good weekend away. But just little shit like that just seems to like
Creep
set you
up.
back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
You just get going and then it knocks you back.
100%, 100%.
Life, isn't it?
What about you, Lou?
Yeah, I've had a really busy few months. I'm not going to lie. So my few months has been what is it like? Genuinely, since the last episode to now, like I've got my own place, which I have to be honest is like massively changed my mentality, like how I feel. Like you go from obviously I went through a breakup and all those sorts of things, and you then have like your own identity again, and you're walking around feeling like proud and happy, and yeah, it's just like honestly, it's changed my life so much, back for the better, which is amazing. Same as Dean, came to the football season ended, and we were like, right, we're gonna get really fit, and within fucking 3 days or something, I pulled my groin. So I literally have been out injured for 3 months. I played a couple of games back, and yeah, it's still not feeling great. So that's been a little bit frustrating. But no, just taking the time. I think when we've had these conversations as a podcast, right? We had a really busy 14 months, like episodes nearly every week, loads of guests, loads of conversations, loads of content. Starting from zero to where we got to was really good, but also it takes its toll, doesn't it? I think if we're all really honest, that weekly commitment to have really like powerful, deep conversations without a break, and especially a prolonged break, was quite tough.
Yeah.
And I think we've all enjoyed the Euros, the summer, like having Dean actually having some fucking real time off, and like the rest of us, but like actually having some time off and like being able to almost process some of the why we do the podcast as much as having some time off for ourselves has been huge for me. But yeah, like I have to be honest, more than all of you, I've been itching to get back. I think year one for me in the podcast was I almost used it as a tool for me to feel better, of like getting through some of the shit that I was going through. And now this next phase is more around like learning so much more and trying to take the podcast to something more than just a weekly thing we record, and actually truly making more of a difference in people's lives than just what we've done previously. So yeah, that's roughly my last 3 months. Loads of time with family, friends, all those sorts of things as well, which have been great.
I've
More
been keeping up to date with all your household decor as you post on. I was like, it's like Gok Wan, but for the household.
do you know
I
what?
loved it.
Funny story. Dean, how bad? So Dean obviously helped me move in. I say obviously because he was off work and he's my best friend. So what else has he got to do with his fucking life? And I had shitloads of flat pack, didn't I? And I,
I can imagine you two trying to put that up, man. Fucking hell.
Mate, I'm sound.
The Chuckle Brothers.
No, he's good at it. I'm so bad. But before getting the place, I literally, because it's in a decent area and loads of people wanted it, I literally got probably 5-10 minutes to view it and commit to it. So I obviously you view it and you're like, yeah, this is everything that I want. Great, yes, take it. Put an offer in straight away, and I remembered everything being so much bigger. And I ordered a bigger bed. I ordered more wardrobes. I ordered more furniture, and it all came, didn't it?
We went to IKEA before you even got the keys, didn't we?
Yeah, I went to IKEA before they got the keys. Yeah, and we just got everything. And then I was like, shit, it's really not this big. Yeah, we went to IKEA and ordered loads, didn't we?
Yeah.
I was like, really, it's just not that
So
big.
you
So I
didn't
had to
measure
send loads.
first and then go to IKEA.
I
You
didn't have
just
time because, but again, we talk about us with exercising. This is my brain of like just all in, all or nothing type. The good thing, it was lovely to get the refunds. I have to be honest, because I spent a fortune and then got a load of refunds back.
We'd been to the place and then we hadn't measured because we didn't have a tape measure, but we'd had a look. And then Lou was like, well, do you think this will fit? And I was like, well, just wait till we get the tape measure. And you were like, yeah, but I think this will fit you. And I was like, well,
you know your iPhone has a tape measure.
Like,
you know that.
Oh, really?
Your iPhone has a tape measure built in.
Really?
I feel like
I
you
did
just
know
said something we wish we knew.
I did know that has got it, but I don't know how accurate it is. Is it accurate? Like,
I mean, it's not amazing, but it works to a degree
yeah,
of
we should have done
actually
that.
giving you an
Yeah.
estimate. It might be off by like 10 centimeters, but as long as you're not going for something that's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well, we're trying to maximize space though, weren't we? Because we're trying to get like the bed and 2 cabinets either side, but like wasn't possible to be done.
Yeah, it wasn't possible. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Luke,
Go on.
it took you like ages to do Oliver's single bed, right? And then like I'd managed to do the 2 lots of the wardrobes, and then afterwards you come in, and then I did your double bed for you, and then you were like, I was like, oh, this bit was the really hard bit, wasn't it? And you were like, oh, really? I found that quite easy. And I was like, well, did you do the turn? And you were like, yeah, I think so. And I went into the room and I just moved Oliver's bed, and it was just like rocking, like it was completely, it was like nothing was tightened on it. So I had to go through and tighten all the hard bits.
Do you know what, Lou? You remind me so much of my fucking brother. My brother is one of the most intelligent people I've ever known in my life. He's a teacher. He's got a fucking shitloads of degrees, blah, blah, blah. But he does not know fuck all about anything to do with his hands or he can't even hang a picture up, man.
I can do that. I can do that really badly.
You did the shelf and you did that in the shelf and that.
Yeah. So I'm all right. I'm going to be honest. I am so bad at that shit. I've got.
Don't you have an army dad though, who's like a proper man's man? Like surely that's.
He's shit as
He
well.
just takes him on the trip.
Yeah, he's so good. My mum was always the one who did that stuff. But yeah, I'm just not naturally good at it. I try. The thing is, I will try. Do you know what the TV stand? The TV stand took me something ridiculous like 5 hours. I think it would take a normal person 40 minutes.
The worst bit was we were doing the bed, and then they realised that the slats didn't come. So I was doing the bed, and then Lewis was like, just had to go ring IKEA, and he was sitting on hold with IKEA for like an hour. So I was doing the bed, and then he got off the phone, and I was like, they haven't sent something else, and he was like, oh, I'll go and ring them. So he went to ring them, and I was having to do something else for you as well.
Instead of just
I got absolutely stitched. Yeah,
That's hilarious. I can actually see it happening as well. You just
I actually
delegate
don't mind
and Dean's sweating.
flat pack, like quite enjoy it.
To be fair, because you're good at it, I let you do it.
Yeah, that's it.
It was nice of me to do that.
You know when he rewards you by saying how good you are, that's to encourage you to want to do it more.
Yeah.
It's not
Like
patronising.
Pavlovian conditioning.
You're such a good boy at doing the
Yeah.
flick,
Good boy, Dino.
Funny enough, he was giving us a treat every time he was saying it as well.
Yeah, I was. Wag your tail. No, I was very grateful for the help because I'm, as we've just discussed, really shit at it. But I do try. But yeah, that was my main part of the summer. I've just had a couple of weeks off actually as well, and
We did a full week of eating.
yeah, we did. It was good, wasn't it? Well, with sea dipping. Let's talk.
invite,
We have a
guys.
health podcast. We can talk about some of the things we actually did to feel good. That's what we're going to go with. Yes?
Yeah, do you know what? I'll start.
Go on then.
I've recently just started taking, in the last couple of months, sertraline.
What does that do?
It is a drug to help with mental health and anxiety.
Okay.
And I've always been a man from a young age who used to love the anti-anxiety drugs to help us with my daily attacks.
Mhm.
But then I went off them because I got really addicted to diazepam, and then they basically stripped diazepam away from everyone. They were like, it's too addictive. People can't have it anymore. They don't prescribe it normally anymore. And then I was so dependent on it, I had like really bad come down from it from when they took it away from us.
Yeah.
So I swore from that day I was never going back on. So I've kind of like forced myself into worse times where I could have went and got drugs, and I've been like, no, I'm not going to do it. I've just had like powered through it. And I had a breakthrough like a couple of months ago where basically I was like, do you know what? I can't just keep like forcing myself not to do it. I'm just going to make a step to try and make myself a little bit better. And I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not saying it's like a be all and end all. I just wanted to bring it up because I feel like it's important that, you know, you if you are struggling, you kind of trying to use every available option you've got for yourself, whether that's potentially going to get medications, whether it's seeking help from healthcare professionals, whether it's podcasts, whether it's some sort of thing that relieves you of that stress and that anxiousness. I think a lot of the time, I'm not saying I was too proud to take them because it was more of like a conscious decision based on what had happened in the past. But sometimes you've got to kind of let those things go, let your pride go in that sense and say, look, I am struggling enough to go and get it, rather than sort of like biting the bullet. So that would be my one bit of advice at the moment.
Do you know what's really interesting? So we've all spoke about, well, most of us have spoke about dark times that we've had. I was never, don't judge anyone, do whatever feels best for you completely. But I was never drawn into the whole idea of medication, you know. So, and I kind of live my life by that anyway. Generally, I will try not to take any medication.
Yeah, you don't have paracetamol or anything, do you? Ibuprofen and that? Like,
Yeah,
when you're injured?
Yeah, just don't take anything, and it's probably a little bit stupid, but I like to, but because I've been in like a dark place, and that was my mind that got me there. I kind of felt like my mind needs to be the thing to get myself out of it, and we can debate this all the time. Tonight's not the episode to do it. Obviously, this is a short one, saying we're back, introducing it, and then back properly with guests and stuff next week. But for me, there's a few simple things I do in my life, and if I do them consistently, I feel fine. If I exercise regularly, if I spend time with people I care about and prioritize having fun, and I get some sort of learning, whether that's podcasts, reading, like deeper conversations with friends, family, like they're the sort of key things for me. There's a few other things like diet, and doing something fairly competitive, being successful or good at something. There are the things that make a difference. But the three key things are the things that I started off with, and the most important one for me is getting out of the house and exercising. If I do that regularly enough, I feel good. I don't feel as shit as I do if I'm just sat in the house or just eating junk food or watching movies, series, or whatever. So, yeah, I personally am glad I did it that way, because I remember in my times they were offering me, the first thing they offered was antidepressant drugs, and I remember saying, no, I don't want them. And they're like, no, you need them, like you should have these. And I just thought, well, no, it's my brain saying something, so I need to try and figure out a way to stop those thoughts and do things that contribute the other way to make me feel positive. But
I do think there's a bit of both, though. I think there's an element of depending on what you've got, really, because I think it's a bit of a cliche to say it, but I don't think it's a one size fits all kind of
I agree.
job in that sense. And I think there's a lot of people who are mentally strong enough to be able to do it the way what you're saying, where you would go out and exercise, keep yourself on top of things and keep that mental routine to be able to help yourself mentally. But then equally, there is people who essentially maybe don't have that mental capacity to be able to push through that. And sometimes having that little bit of a boost from an antidepressant or medication can get them to the point when then they can start doing things that actually help them. Because I'm not saying, and I think we can all agree that realistically, the more you exercise, the more you get yourself out doing things you want to do, the more you live your life to what we would class as a healthy lifestyle, the better you are going to feel in yourself, the better your body's going to feel, the better you're going to feel mentally. That's 100% the case for most people.
Yeah.
But it's getting to the point of being able to do that mentally that a lot of people do struggle with. And I think that's like I said, I'm not saying that anyone who is mentally capable is less of a. There's no there's no competition. You know what I mean? It doesn't really. But I do think there is sort of like a whatever works for you kind of method, and I think you can only decide that yourself. I don't think anyone else can tell you. So when you're saying, like, doctors would say, you must take this medication, you need this medication, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I don't think that works unless you're in it for you. And
Yeah.
I think that goes for anything, whether it's diet, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's
You've got to
drug
make the decision.
abuses. You have to be the one to commit and be able to do the change, to actually have the change happen. And for me personally, that's the only benefit I see from my perspective of having that bit of an extra boost to be able to get the point mentally where I can say, right, now I'm not having constant attacks every day, all day. Let's see what we can do to start getting my body and my mind a little bit more healthier.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think that they're all really good points, mate. Definitely something that my journey is only my journey. My experience is only mine. Yours is yours. We're not here to try and tell people what they should or shouldn't do. We're just here to probably pass on our experience and what we think works for us. And maybe some people relate to me, some people relate to you. And yeah, I just try and view now my health very much as something I have to be really proactive with, and not just expect that I'm going to feel okay, not really considering the things that I do and my behaviors in a way that is in a positive. I have to always think, if I'm going to do something, is it going to have a net positive or net negative on my life? So yeah, no, that's a really good point. I am conscious that when we are literally, for anyone who is listening and is going to listen, this is a super short episode. We're gonna wrap up at 8, so there's only 8 more minutes. Basically, it was only ever going to be a short episode tonight, and we'll get back to it with a longer form episodes probably from next week. It was just we are back. This is what we're going to
once
be
you
doing.
get back as well, like you get motivated as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Same with like anything, diet, fitness, the lot. So
Yeah.
just coming back and getting on even for a short one.
Yeah.
I already feel like we haven't been away now.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those, isn't it? It is one of
Yeah.
those. One thing I did want to touch upon is what the future of the podcast looks like, and I'm happy to be the one to talk about that. But
Go for it.
to you two, what does the podcast mean to you moving forward? And then I can do the spiel, the business talk of what we think we're potentially going to do and where we're going to be and the vision for the future. I can do all that, but what does it mean? What do you guys want it to be?
Go on, Job. You can go for this one.
I'll happily take this one. So, for me personally, I mean, there's a couple of key things. I know Lewis is probably going to talk on about more, but I feel like we want to try and create a more interactive way of getting to you guys, a more interactive way of maybe potentially doing things in person, introducing ourselves more as individuals, so you just get to know us more.
Yeah.
Having a little bit more access through potential new streaming services and new things like websites and stuff, which, as I said, I'll let Lewis explain deeper in the future. We've been working on a jingle for the pod.
So play the jingle.
Shall I play the jingle?
Fucking jingle.
It's just a little bit of a. You know what?
I love this jingle, by the way.
It's in a little bit of an early stage, but let's go.
I haven't heard it, so.
How then? 3, 2, 1.
It's time for the Everyman Podcast. So sit back, it's time to get your brain relaxed. So tune in almost every week, and we will make sure that your mental's in fleek. It's the Everyman, but it's for everyone. Making mental health priority one. For everyone, making mental health priority one.
And there you go.
That's actually sick.
It's so good, isn't it? Do you know that?
I didn't hear that. I heard you playing on the guitar, but I didn't hear that that bit.
Played on the guitar first. I wrote it on the guitar and then I transpired it.
Right.
It's
Okay.
so
Wicked,
good.
mate. Well done.
Like, I actually love that. The only thing I don't like, right? is fucking fleek.
Yeah, I couldn't
It's
think
just
of a
a
word.
rhyming
I'll be
word,
honest.
innit?
Yeah, it was just a
Fleek.
rhyming word. I mean, it was. Yeah, I was thinking of words that like.
Rhymes with weak.
Yeah,
Speak.
and
Speak. You got to get the word speak in.
I mean, we can always change it, can't we, if needs be.
Or
But,
life's not that bleak.
Get Lou to
Fleek's
re-record
way
it
cooler than Fleek.
himself.
Right.
Aye, Lou, you can sing it.
Everyman. I haven't got singing in my lock. I'm
It's
I'm
for
really sorry.
everyone.
See, both of you have
This is
already
almost
got
becoming like a Christmas jingle. But yeah, so what we're going to do, and the reason for that is so initially we started the podcast being like a men's health podcast. Throughout having a men's health podcast, we did an amazing job of attracting loads of women listeners, and through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever platform, they give you your demographic of genders who are listening to the podcast. And it's literally a 50-50 split between men and women. So we would be idiots to not talk about female conversations, which some of you have listened to. Obviously, we've talked about like fertility and women's health. We've spoke about some of those topics, and we will continue to talk about those topics. And we wanted a opening credit, music, whatever, to probably encompass what the new vision was, that it's a health podcast and it's human health versus men's health. So that's a big thing. And ultimately, where the podcast is going to go over the next few years is not necessarily just a podcast where we come and talk. We will be looking to offer services, free services for people to come and talk about health. So some of our amazing guests who've been on, who are doctors, psychologists, athletes, whatever, they will come in and help co-host some sessions with groups talking about health, some of the topics that we've spoken about, fully free. Anyone can attend. Come and listen to guest speakers. You get the chance to contribute, be involved, and talk about your health, your experience with us in a completely safe environment. They'll be starting fairly soon. That'll be a program that we'll run for people. Then the vision is ultimately to try and turn it into a charity that actually makes a difference. So as we sit here today, this is a podcast which started off from trauma, ultimately. Us as a group of people, me predominantly, went through some shit in my life, and I found that talking and speaking up and trying to make a difference really helped me in my recovery. I now want to give that back, and the team have really stepped up to help take this from something we do weekly and talking to, as we go over the next few months, years, whatever, we turn it into something that is much more than just a conversation one night a week. And to do that, really, none of us are experts in that. We are just experts in our own experiences and have done a podcast for just over a year. If there's people out there who want to support us and have ideas on how we can do that, there's a business plan being written. There's lots of ideas how we can do it. But if there's people who can get involved and want to help make this much more than a group of mates together trying to make a difference, and make it more of a movement around changing society's view on health and ultimately health conversations, and making people realize that ultimately you aren't the worst person in the world for going through the shit that you're going through, and try and make people realize, again, National Suicide Day is just coming up, that people realize that it's so much better to be alive and you can overcome your problems than struggle in silence or potentially do the worst thing possible of taking your own life. Not a nice way to end a podcast. So I will continue talking for a minute or so here, just to move it off that topic, because the future of the podcast is super positive, where I think we got some things really right last year. I think there's also lots of things which we could have done better. And that is moving the conversation from some people's experiences to then moving it forward to real takeaway action that people can listen, be inspired to make a difference in their own life, and therefore make the changes to maybe change the way they're feeling, thinking, and ultimately get the help They want and need to live a better life. So you're going to see a lot more topical content that is focused on helping people to live a better life, but also more of our personalities to have a laugh along the way. So whilst we're talking about really some challenging conversations, we also want to show you can talk about these challenging conversations in a way that doesn't have to be super depressive and negative and a real horrible situation. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Tonight was always going to be a short episode, but the future of the podcast is much bigger than it has probably ever been, or we thought it was going to be. We would love all and any of you to be involved. Like, honestly, we're so grateful for all the messages that we receive. And yeah, here's to the next iteration of what the Everyman Podcast is. And we look forward to you all coming on the journey with us.
And I'm sure one day you'll meet Yaz and Sean.
Yeah, one day you might meet Yaz and Sean, and maybe some new hosts as well, because there's
The 50th year of reunion or something like that.
like the 50th, when Sean gets over his.
Once we're successful and we're smashing it, and they're like, "Please, can I come?"
Yes, of course you can. We need hosts because people don't want to come on a midweek. But yeah, no. Again, short one. Thank you very much to everyone who listened tonight. We are super grateful, and we will catch you next week, where hopefully you will hear one of our hosts' stories and their reason for being involved in the podcast. Anything from Job, Dean, or we good?
No, I think we should just go off with the theme tune again.
Put the theme tune again.
Yeah.
And then as that finishes, we're clicking end.
Yeah.
One more time. Come on.
It's so good. I love it so much.
2, 3. Yeah.
It's time for the Everyman Podcast. So sit back, it's time to get your brain relaxed. So tune in almost every week, and we will make sure that your mental's in fleek. It's the Everyman, but it's for everyone. Making mental health priority one. But it's for everyone, making mental health priority one.